Hey, welcome back to Faithful Film Fanatic. Well, today we're going to dig into Matrix Reloaded. I want to share some interesting things with you guys I found up on the web. In an interview on the Team Deacons podcast in the summer of 2020, the Matrix trilogy's director of photography described working on the sequels as a negative experience, saying everything that was good about the first experience was not good about the last two. We weren't free anymore. People were looking at you. There was a lot of pressure. In my heart, I didn't like them. I felt we should be going in another direction. There was a lot of friction and a lot of personal problems, and it showed up on screen, to be honest with you. It was not my most elevated moment, nor was anyone else's. The Watchowskis had read this damn book by Stanley Kubrick that said actors don't do natural performances until you wear them out, so let's go take 90. I want to dig Stanley Kubrick up and kill him. And then, if you've seen the sequel, Matrix Reloaded, you'd also notice that the actor, Marcus Chong, who had portrayed Tank in the first Matrix movie, was no longer in the second or even third one. And this is what he has to say about it. Marcus Chong was supposed to return as Tank from the first film, but after the acrimonious falling out with Lily Wachowski, in the studio, his part was written out and the character was killed off screen. Officially, Chong was not asked back because salary negotiations between him and the studio had broken down. He was offered $250,000 to do both sequels, 5 times the amount he received for the original, but he demanded $1 million. Chong, however, sued the company for not honoring a verbal promise in a written contract that he had for the sequels. He later claimed that the Wachowskis tried to slander him with intentionally false statements, causing him to be blackballed in Hollywood. The studio countered that Chong had been arrested for making threats at the directors following the failed salary negotiations. In 2018, Chong released a documentary on YouTube called The Marcus Chong Story, in which he made further accusations against the studio. That they denied him royalties, forced him to sign a fake contract, and even try to silence him, as well as former colleagues from the movie. So, these two things I just read to you, it made so much sense to me, because as I had watched the Matrix Reloaded, it just seemed unnatural. All that excitement, everything about the first one that was so engaging, so well written, so good, so captivating, the second one lost. The only good thing I thought the second one had was it had even better action sequences than the first one, and I loved that. And it had even more action, which was awesome. I loved that. The action of this movie is what drove this movie to make it so good. It was so fun to watch the action sequences. And Agent Smith and Neo were so well together. I loved Agent Smith's dialogue in this film. My complete favorite line in this movie: "I killed you, Mr. Anderson. I watched you die, with a certain satisfaction, I might add. Then something happened. Something that I knew was impossible, but it happened anyway. You destroyed me, Mr. Anderson. After that, I understood the rules. I knew what I was supposed to do, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was compelled to stay, compelled to disobey. And now, here I stand because of you, Mr. Anderson. Because of you, I'm no longer an agent of the system. Because of you, I've changed. I'm unplugged. A new man, so to speak. Like you, apparently free." I thought he delivered that so well. And that was just one of many of Agent Smith's excellent dialogues of this movie. So, his dialogue and his tone and acting definitely, I thought, saved this movie as well. Main cast of The Matrix Reloaded is Lawrence Fishburne, who played Morpheus. You might recognize him from Bad Company, 1995. Just Cause, 1995. Then we got Harold Perrineau. I hope I'm saying the guy's name right. This guy, this is the actor that replaced Tank. And his name's Link in the movie. And I thought this guy did a really good job acting. I thought he did a good job holding the movie together. Because, in my opinion, if he wasn't in this movie, the movie would have fell apart. Because there were so many useless scenes in this movie that I didn't think made sense. But when it transitioned from the world view back to the Matrix, and it was with him, he was able to keep my interest. So I applaud the Watchowskis for that. You might recognize him from Macbeth in Manhattan, 1999, and The Best Man, 1999. And then you got Jada Pinkett Smith, who played Naomi in the Matrix Reloaded. You might recognize her from Jason's Lyric, 1994, and A Low Down Dirty Shame, 1994. Then, of course, we got Keanu Reeves, which you might recognize from The Brotherhood of Justice, 1986, River's Edge, 1986. And then we got Hugo Weaving, who played Agent Smith. You might recognize him from 1993's Reckless Kelly and the 1993 Frauds. Then we got Carrie Ann Moss, who played Trinity. You might recognize her from 1996 Sabotage and 1996 Leather Tender. So, other than the few things I'd already mentioned, this movie, it's worth watching only because Agent Smith, the action between him and Neo was amazing. I'd say everyone else in the movie's dialogue was kind of lost me, a little boring, and I felt like the movie tried explaining a bunch of stuff that I thought was really kind of didn't really need to be explained, and just made it kind of boring experience all around. So, but definitely that action for sure. Well, this is Terry from Faithful Film Fanatic, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for listening to me. If you have another film you'd like me to review, please email me at ffilmfanatic99@gmail.com and tell me a film you'd love me to review. Thank you so much for listening to this.